Hello traders. In this video I want to show you how to capture pre-off market data using my own version of the BetAngel multiple spreadsheet. So the first thing you want to do is fire up BetAngel and Guardian and load all of today's markets in here. Once you're done with that, you want to go to Excel and browse for your file. Now I've saved my file in this folder, and the file that I'm going to supply on the forum is going to be called blank 2014. It's a blank file, and all you have to do is create a copy of that file and paste it and rename it to today's date. So I usually use a naming convention for the date, like 2nd February 2014, 3rd February 2014. Probably made a mistake over here. It's 2014, and now all you do is just create a copy of that file every date that you want to use this spreadsheet. Once you're done with that, you go browse for file, browse to your location, and I'm going to use 2nd February because that's today's date. And once you've selected the file, click Open Workbook, and Excel is going to fire up. Now it isn't going to look like much at the moment because we haven't captured any data, so by default it's going to open up the dashboard sheet. But what I really want to show you is if you go over to the BetAngel spreadsheet, there are 50 sheets in here. You can see there are 50 sheets in here. So if I go back to the first blank sheet, and if you scroll a little bit to the right, you'll be able to see where all the data capture happens. I've hidden a couple of columns over here, but if you wish to add, if you wish to do your own automation or things like that on this side of the spreadsheet, you can do that. You can unhide a lot of columns over here. But you don't really want to tamper around with things after this column, because this is where all the data capturing happens. Now the way I've set it up is all the 50 sheets are predefined to capture data 5.5 minutes before the off. So you've got your hours, minutes, and seconds. So you can set it at 6 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever you wish. Yeah, I've set it at 5 minutes and 30 seconds for all 50 spreadsheets before the off. If you wish to capture post-time data, you simply select that, and you do that for all of them, and it'll capture the post time. If you wish to capture pre-off, post time, and in play, you can do that for all of them. However you wish to capture your data or segment it, you can do that. The only thing you have to be careful is that the data capture doesn't overlap. So if two markets are competing for the refresh rate, you're going to have trouble capturing data for both markets properly. I've set them to capture at 1 second increment, time increment. So I'll show you how this is set up. I've got my time, countdown, market volume. It's going to capture the back-end lay, and this is going to capture all the individual runner volume for the first 10 runners. Sorry, not just the volume, but the price and everything for the first 10 runners in a row. And you don't have to worry about non-runners, because if there's a non-runner, it won't mix up your data. I've set it so that it'll identify each unique runner's data as a unique data set. So you don't have to worry about data getting stuffed up or mixed matched. So once you're done with that, you can minimize it, because we're practically not going to need it for the trading session. And once you're done with that, you want to connect it. So click connect, click auto bind sheets, and the reason it's not doing it is because I've locked the refresh. So if I just unlock it for a second, it's going to auto bind everything. I'm going to lock the refresh. Now the reason I've set it this way is because I want to capture data for 5.5 minutes, so that's 330 seconds, but I've left it at 350, and I want to capture it at 30 seconds before after the start time. If I go back to Excel, I can get rid of that if I want to, or I can just leave it that way. It doesn't matter. So I'm good and ready to go using the spreadsheet. I've set the refresh interval in Guardian to 1 minute, and the reason I've done that is because I don't want to use additional Guardian counters to cycle through the market, because the idea of the spreadsheet is you're going to be actively trading this market and capturing data simultaneously at the same time. So what the spreadsheet's going to do is it's going to use the refresh rate from here, but it's going to break it down into 1 second interval. So you could be trading the markets with using 200 millisecond refresh, but it'll be capturing data at every 1 second interval. Just be sure not to go more than 1 second. So if you go 2 seconds, you'll get double count data. So just make sure you stay somewhere below 1 second interval. And that's it. And so we'll come back and look at the spreadsheet after we're done for the day. Okay, I've just finished trading for the day, and now let's take a look at what the spreadsheet looks like. So the first thing you want to do is obviously disconnect it from Excel, from Guardian. So if you select that, and be careful not to click the close workbook button, because we want to save the spreadsheet obviously. So the first thing you do is go file and just save it. Yes, save your spreadsheet because you don't want to lose the data. And once it's saved, then you're free to close the workbook if you wish to. So for the moment I'm not going to close it because I'm going to show you the features and then I can close it later. But it's essential that you save your data before closing the workbook from here. So now that we're done trading, here's the spreadsheet, and this part will show you how many trades you did. And today I was running a set semi-automated strategy, so I was using low stakes and just doing some automation. So it's showing me the stats for the day. I did 6 trades. I actually did more than 6 trades. I did actually about 12 trades, but 6 trades was scratch trades, so it doesn't show scratch trades. It only shows wins and losses. So here's my strike rate for the day, and shows the series of wins and losses. It also shows you your turnover in the market and your net profit and loss. This excludes commission, by the way, so it'll be slightly different than your Betfair profit, and it shows your margin on turnover. So this helps when you're experimenting with different strategies. But those are the essential stats. Now you'll see that most of the graphs are blank, and in order to populate the data, if you click on this refresh button here, that should fix everything. So just click on that and give it a second or two. It's just running a macro in the background and we're done. So that's all you have to do. Just click on the refresh button. Make sure you only click on it once and it's all done. So now this graph over here is showing the different markets that we traded today and where the profits came from and where the loss came from. So this gives you a market overview of your profit and loss. The graph below it shows you your win and loss on individual trades. So you still have the 3 markets that we traded for today, but what the individual trades did. So that's a good way of seeing where the losses and profits come from on individual trades. This graph over here shows the pre-off volume. So remember at the beginning of the video I showed you that we're capturing the data for 5.5 minutes for all of the markets for today. So this is showing you for 5.5 minutes all these courses attracted this amount of liquidity, and the most amount of liquidity clearly was at Musselburgh, and then it was split between Punchestown and Kempton. So there's more liquidity in this market, we can see that. This shows you the runner, the top 10 runners for the entire card today that attracted the most volume, and it's by no surprise that they'll probably be odds-on runners or very short price runners. I don't know how useful this information is going to be to different traders, but I just kind of put this in the spreadsheet when I was creating it. So just in case you need that information, it's right over there. This graph shows you the individual volume pre-off. So for every market pre-off, we can see the biggest volume market was this grade 2 chase at Punchestown and this listed race at Musselburgh. They did the best volumes for the day and everything else was average. The crappiest volume was over here, a handicap chase at Punchestown and another handicap at Punchestown. So they did pretty low volume. The other races did okay, but overall Musselburgh did better than the rest, than the other two. So that's what this graph shows. And then the graph below it shows this is slightly complicated. This measures volatility. So this calculates for all the runners that traded in all the races, which runner moved the most. So this is calculating the top 10 runners that actually had the widest trading ranges in the last 5.5 minutes pre-off. So this shows the range. So this runner moved 15 ticks, this runner moved 19 ticks, 18 ticks. We have somebody here at 19 ticks. That's the range. Was it a steamer or drifter? So the red indicates a drifter, and the bars, the empty bars over here, indicate a steamer. So that's your drifter. Here's your steamer, and that's the range. this price over here shows what the opening odds were, and this price over here shows the closing odds. I'm a bit, because I haven't used this in a while, I'm a bit lost with this. But and this shows the runner volatility, so that's 1.2%, 1.7. I don't know if these mathematical calculations are really going to help anyone, but I spent a week on it creating this, and I've just left it in the spreadsheet. So if anyone finds this useful, well and good. If you don't really need to bother with this chart that much. I'm just trying to see if I did anything else, because I was fairly certain I played around a little more. No, I didn't. So that's what the dashboard shows you. Now there's one other interesting feature that you're going to find in this spreadsheet, and that is the chart view. So if we click on the chart view now, this is actually showing you the market. So let's say we're interested in, I don't know, we captured data for 20 markets. So let's say I'm interested in the first market, yeah? So I'll just type in 1. You can type in any number from 1 to 50 in the cell, and you'd be fine, the top left cell. And it's populating the data for the first market. You can go to the second market if you wish, and it's going to populate that. Oh. So that's what it does. So if I go to the fifth market, there's the data for the fifth market. So I'll show you quickly what this sheet does. So you've got your opening, closing, high and low prices. And remember, all of this data is related to the last 5.5 minutes. Steamer or drifter, and how many ticks did it move by, and this is the range in implied probability, and this is the volatility. I don't know how useful these stats are going to be to anybody, but I just left them there in the spreadsheet. So if they're useful to you, well and good. If you don't like looking at numbers, you can always look at the market overview chart, which is a handy feature in the BetAngel software itself. So I just thought I'd add it in the spreadsheet. So all you have to do is select the number of runners that you wish to see, and you'll be able to see them in the overview chart. And this is very similar to the BetAngel overview chart graph. If you don't want to see it, you can simply click on it again, and it's hidden, and you can see the stats over here. Now, if you scroll a little down, by the way, there is also the market volume that's displayed over here, and the race details. And this has captured data from 5 minutes and 28 seconds out. So if you scroll down a little bit, now this drop down shows the front 10 runners. It should show 10 runners, but I think there were only 6 or 7 runners in this race. So by default, it will show the graph of the first runner, but you can easily flick between it. So here we have the second runner, the third runner. And this is very similar to the Betfair graph, except Betfair graph condenses the data, whereas this graph here spreads it out evenly. So we can see from 5.5 minutes out all the way up to 0 minutes. This is what the price did. So think of this graph very similar to your Betfair graph, and it's also showing you stats for this runner just beside the chart. If you scroll further down, this was a new feature that I added to the spreadsheet, and what this is showing you is the front 3 back money. So on the ladder, over here, the money on the blue side is represented over here. So back money 1, 2, and 3, and the same thing happens for lay 1, 2, and 3. And this is, I don't know how useful various traders will find this, but in certain markets where manipulation goes on, you can see a person, stacked up money on one side of the market, and then he pulls that money and the price goes shooting out in the other direction. So this chart will essentially capture that, because what the Betfair graph captures is the actual traded amount. These little red spikes you see here are traded amounts, but this is the money floating around in the market, and this is essential to see certain kinds of activity that go on in the market that don't necessarily show themselves in the Betfair graph. So if you flick across different runners and different markets, you might be able to see a different characteristic over here. That might help some traders. But I did this mostly because I wanted to see what was going on in certain markets, and it definitely helped me, these two charts, to a degree. The chart below it shows the correlation between the weight of money and the price. Because there's a huge debate on the forum whether weight of money works or not, and I'm not taking anyone's side, I just put this in the spreadsheet so in case anyone wants to see, they can see for themselves. And the weight of money is a moving average. That's what this stands for, 21 interval moving average. So this is like your long moving average, and this is your price. The graph below it shows you the market volume, and you can see the market volume started at roughly 500,000 and in the last 5 minutes shot up all the way to 1.2 million. So this is essential in certain markets to see at what time frame the volume increases, and this is giving you a per second breakdown of where the volume came in. So it's a couple of volume spikes in certain areas. So this is going to help to a certain degree. This is the book back and lay percentage, and this is where arbitrage happens. So essentially, if the lay side of this exceeds 100% on that side, or if the back side exceeds 100% on the downside, there's an arbitrage opportunity. But you can you can see that in this market there wasn't any. The minute it touches the 100 line, it actually goes within its own range. So I just put this in the spreadsheet in case anyone wants to look at arbitrage opportunities or see how the book fluctuates. That's a handy way of looking at it. And this is Pearson's correlation. I don't know how much, again, this will help anybody, but this was an idea introduced to me by Euler from the forum. And what this measures is how two runners are correlated. So it shows you that the best correlated runners in this race were this high excellency and chi. So if this runner was coming in, this runner was going out, or vice versa. Whereas these two runners were positively correlated, which means they were moving in the same direction. So they could both be steamers or both be drifters. And it shows you various percentage. And if you want to change those percentage, you can do them from here. So you can go -6 instead of -8, or you can go -5. Oh, sorry, -0.5. And that'll highlight a few more numbers for you. So I usually leave them at -0.8 and 0.8. So that's Pearson's correlation. And there's a couple of other interesting things. This essentially represents the price of the runner in 5-second time intervals. So I can change this runner from here. This graph is controlled from here. So if I change that to his excellent, another runner, you can see how this changes. So let's keep it at this runner and scroll a little bit to this side and see how this moves. So what I have here is the time, 5 minutes and 27 seconds, and this is the ladder view of this runner. At 5:26, this was the ladder view, and this is good sometimes just for flicking through and seeing how the price actually moved from one point to another. And this shows you the range of the odds. So let's use the scroll bar and scrub across it, and you'll be able to see how it moves. You can see how the range is widening, and I can scroll across the timeline over here and see how the price of the runner moves. I can also use these end scroll bars to just go 1 second at a time on either side. Or I can simply click play, and what that does is it's going to play the whole animation for you in 1 second time interval. So you can see them moving up and down here. So it's playing this for you. I haven't really found it useful. I only created this once, and that was it. But I haven't really found it much useful. But you can this is just good at seeing the snapshot in 5 second interval for any one runner and trying to figure out where the next price move might be. So that's where this helps, if at all it does help anybody. And that's literally it. If you scroll further to the right, this is where all the behind the scenes stuff happens. So all the data that you saw in the graph and in the ladder was all being represented via this area here. So I would recommend that you do not tamper with this area. You just play around over here, and you can flick between different markets. simply by entering a number over here. So that's how you use this chart, and that's essentially the spreadsheet. So thanks for watching.